In the Supreme, the witness appears. Some 40 years ago, J. Krishnamurti said that there is life only, and all talk of personalities and individualities has no foundation in reality. He did not attempt to describe life. He merely said that while life need not and cannot be described, it can be fully experienced, if the obstacles to its being experienced are removed. The main hindrance lies in our idea of and addiction to time and our habit of anticipating a future in the light of the past. The sum total of the past becomes the I was. The hope for future becomes the I shall be. And life is a constant effort of crossing over from what I was to what I shall be. The present moment, the now, is lost sight of. Maharaj speaks of I am. Is it an illusion, like I was and I shall be? Or is there something real about it? And if the I am too is an illusion, how does one free oneself from it? The very notion of I am free of I am is an absurdity. Is there something real, something lasting about the I am in distinction from the I was or I shall be, which change with time as added memories create new expectations? The present I am is as false as the I was and the I shall be. It is merely an idea in the mind, an impression left by memory, and the separate identity it creates is false. This habit of referring to a false center must be done away with. The notion I see, I feel, I think, I do must disappear from the field of consciousness. What remains when the false is no more is real. What is this big talk about elimination of the self? How can the self eliminate itself? What kind of metaphysical acrobatics can lead to the disappearance of the acrobat? In the end, he will reappear, mightily proud of his disappearing. You need not chase the I am to kill it. You cannot. All you need is sincere longing for reality. We call it Atma Bhakti, the love of the Supreme, or Moksha Sankalpa, the determination to be free from the false. Without love and will, inspired by love, nothing can be done. Merely talking about reality without doing anything about it is self-defeating. There must be love in the relation between the person who says I am and the observer of that I am. As long as the observer, the inner self, the higher self, considers himself apart from the observed, the lower self despises it and condemns it, and the situation is hopeless. It is only when the observer, Vyakta, accepts the person, Vyakti, as a projection or manifestation of himself, and, so to say, takes the self into the self, the duality of I and this goes, and in the identity of the outer and the inner, the supreme reality manifests itself. This union of the seer and the seen happens when the seer becomes conscious of himself as the seer. He is not merely interested in the seen, which he is anyhow, but also interested in being interested, giving attention to attention, aware of being aware. Affectionate awareness is the crucial factor that brings reality into focus. According to the Theosophist and allied occultist, man consists of three aspects: personality, individuality, and spirituality. Beyond spirituality lies divinity. The personality is strictly temporary and valid for one birth only. It begins with the birth of the body and ends with the birth of the next body. Once over, it is over for good. Nothing remains of it except a few sweet or bitter lessons. The individuality begins with the animal man and ends with the fully human. The split between the personality and individuality is characteristic of our present-day humanity. On one side, the individuality with its longing for the true, the good, and the beautiful. On the other side, an ugly struggle between habit and ambition, fear and greed, passivity and violence. The spirituality aspect is still in abeyance. It cannot manifest itself in an atmosphere of duality. Only when the personality is reunited with the individuality and becomes a limited, perhaps but true expression of it, that the light and love and beauty of the spiritual come into their own. You teach of Vyakti, Vyakta, Avyakta, observer, observed, and ground of observation. Does it tally with the other view? Yes, when the Vyakti realizes its non-existence in separation from the Vyakta, and the Vyakta sees the Vyakti as his own expression, then the peace and silence of the Avyakta state come into being. In reality, the three are one. The Vyakta and the Avyakta are inseparable, while the Bhakti is the sensing, feeling, thinking process based on the body made of and fed by the five elements. What is the relation between the Vyakta and the Avyakta? How can there be a relation where there are one? All talk of separation and relation is due to the distorting and corrupting influence of I am the body idea. The outer self, Vyakti, is merely a projection on the body-mind of the inner self, Vyakta, which again is only an expression of the Supreme Self, Avyakta, which is all and none. There are teachers who will not talk of the higher self and lower self. They address the man as if only the lower self existed. Neither Buddha nor Christ ever mentioned a higher self. J. Krishnamurti, too, fights shy of any mention of the higher self. Why is it so? How can there be two selves in one body? The I am is one. There is no higher I am and lower I am. All kinds of states of mind are presented to awareness, and there is self-identification with them. The objects of observation are not what they appear to be, and the attitudes they are met with are not what they need to be. If you think that Buddha, Christ, or Krishnamurti speak to the person, you are mistaken. They know well that the Vyakti, the outer self, is but a shadow of the Vyakta, the inner self, and they address and admonish the Vyakta only. They tell him to give attention to the outer self, to guide and help it, to feel responsible for it, in short, to be fully aware of it. Awareness comes from the Supreme and pervades the inner self. The so-called outer self is only that part of one's being of which one is not aware. One may be conscious, for every being is conscious, but one is not aware. What is included in awareness becomes the inner and partakes of the inner. You may put it differently. The body defines the outer self, consciousness the inner, and in pure awareness, the Supreme is contacted. You said the body defines the outer self. Since you have a body, do you also have an outer self? I would were I attached to the body and take it to be myself. But you are aware of it and attend to its needs. The contrary is nearer to truth. The body knows me and is aware of my needs, but neither is really so. This body appears in your mind. In my mind, nothing is. Do you mean to say that you are quite unconscious of having a body? On the contrary, I am conscious of not having a body. I see you smoking. Exactly so you see me smoking. Find out for yourself, how did you come to see me smoking? And you will easily realize that it is your I am the body state of mind that is responsible for this I see you smoking idea. There is a body and there is myself. I know the body. Apart from it, what am I? There is no I apart from the body nor the world. The three appear and disappear together. At the root is the sense I am. Go beyond it. The idea I am not the body is merely an antidote to the idea I am the body, which is false. What is that I am? Unless you know yourself, what else can you know? From what you say, I conclude that without the body there can be no liberation. If the idea I am not the body leads to liberation, the presence of the body is essential. Quite right. Without the body, how can the idea I am not the body come into being? The idea I am free is as false as the idea I am in bondage. Find out. The I am common to both, and go beyond. All is a dream only. All are mere words. Of what use are they to you? You are entangled in the web of verbal definitions and formulations. Go beyond your concepts and ideas. In the silence of desire and thought, the truth is found. One has to remember not to remember. What a task! It cannot be done, of course. It must happen. But it does happen when you truly see the need of it. Again, earnestness is the golden key. At the back of my mind, there is a hum going on all the time. Numerous weak thoughts swarm and buzz, and this shapeless cloud is always with me. Is it the same with you? What is at the back of your mind? Where there is no mind, there is no back to it. I am all front, no back. The void speaks, the void remains. Is there no memory left? No memory of past pleasure or pain is left. Each moment is newly born. Without memory, you cannot be conscious. Of course, I am conscious and fully aware of it. I am not a block of wood. Compare consciousness and its content to a cloud. You are inside the cloud while I look at it. You are lost in it, hardly able to see the tips of your fingers, while I see the cloud and many other clouds in the blue sky too, and the sun, the moon, the stars. Reality is one for both of us, but for you it is a prison, and for me it is home. You speak of the person, Vyakti, the witness, Vyakta, and the supreme Avyakta. Which comes first? In the supreme, the witness appears. The witness creates the person and thinks itself as separate from it. The witness sees that the person appears in consciousness, which again appears in the witness. This realization of the basic unity is the working of the Supreme. It is the power behind the witness, the source from which all flows. It cannot be contacted unless there is unity and love and mutual help between the person and the witness, unless the doing is in harmony with the being and the knowing. The Supreme is both the source and the fruit of such harmony. As I talk to you, I am in the state of detached but affectionate awareness, turiya. When this awareness turns upon itself, you may call it the Supreme State, turiyatita. But the fundamental reality is beyond awareness, beyond the three states of becoming, being, and not being. How is it that here my mind is engaged in high topics and finds dwelling on them easy and pleasant? When I return home, I find myself forgetting all that I have learned here, worrying and fretting, unable to remember my real nature even for a moment. What may be the cause? It is your childishness you are returning to. You are not fully grown up. There are levels left underdeveloped because unattended. Just give full attention to what in you is crude and primitive, unreasonable and unkind, altogether childish, and you will ripen. It is the maturity of heart and mind that is essential. It comes effortlessly when the main obstacle is removed. In attention, in awareness, you grow. Notion of doership is bondage. We have been staying at the Satya Sai Baba ashram for some time. We have also spent 2 months at Sri Rama Ashram, Tiruvannamalai. Did India cause any change in you? We feel we have shed our burden. Sri Satya Sai Baba told us to leave everything to him and just live from day to day as righteously as possible. Be good and leave the rest to me, he used to tell us. What were you doing at the Sri Rama Ashram? We were going on with the mantra given to us by the Guru. We also did some meditation. There was not much of thinking or study. We were just trying to keep quiet. We are on the bhakti path and rather poor in philosophy. We have not much to think about. Just trust our Guru and live our lives. Most of the bhaktas trust their Guru only as long as well is well with them. When troubles come, they feel let down and go out in search of another Guru. Yes, we were warned against this danger. We are trying to take the hard along with the soft. The feeling all is grace must be very strong. A sadhu was walking eastwards from where a strong wind started blowing. The sadhu just turned around and walked west. We hope to live just like that, adjusting ourselves to circumstances as sent us by our guru. There is only life. There is nobody who lives a life. That we understand, yet constantly we make attempts to live our lives instead of just living. Making plans for the future seems to be an inveterate habit with us. Whether you plan or don't, life goes on. But in life itself, a little whirl arises in the mind, which indulges in fantasies and imagines itself dominating and controlling life. Life itself is desireless, but the false self wants to continue pleasantly. Therefore, it is always engaged in ensuring one's continuity. Life is unafraid and free. As long as you have the idea of influencing events, liberation is not for you. The very notion of doership, of being a cause, is bondage. How can we overcome the duality of the doer and the done? Contemplate life as infinite, undivided, ever-present, ever-active, until you realize yourself as one with it. It is not even very difficult, for you will be returning only to your own natural condition. Once you realize that all comes from within, and that the world in which you live has not been projected onto you but by you, your fear comes to an end. Without this realization, you identify yourself with the externals like the body, mind, society, nation, humanity, even God or the Absolute. But these are all escapes from fear. It is only when you fully accept your responsibility for the little world in which you live and watch the process of its creation, preservation, and destruction that you may be free from your imaginary bondage. Why should I imagine myself so wretched? You do it by habit only. Change your ways of feeling and thinking, take stock of them, and examine them closely. You are in bondage by inadvertence. Attention liberates. You are taking so many things for granted. Begin to question. The most obvious things are the most doubtful. Ask yourself such questions as, was I really born? Am I really so-and-so? How do I know that I exist? Who are my parents? Have they created me or have I created them? Must I believe all I am told about myself? Who am I anyhow? You have put so much energy into building a prison for yourself. Now spend as much on demolishing it. In fact, demolition is easy, for the false dissolves when it is discovered. All hangs on the idea I am. Examine it very thoroughly. It lies at the root of every trouble. It is a sort of skin that separates you from the reality. This I am idea was not born with you. You could have lived very well without it. It came later due to your self-identification with the body. It created an illusion of separation where there was none. It made you a stranger in your own world and made the world alien and inimical. Without the sense of I am, life goes on. There are moments when we are without the sense of I am, at peace and happy. With the return of the I am, trouble starts. How is one to be free from the I sense? You must deal with the I sense if you want to be free of it. Watch it in operation and at peace, how it starts, and when it ceases, what it wants and how it gets it, till you see clearly and understand fully. After all yogas, whatever their source and character, have only one aim, to save you from the calamity of separate existence, of being a meaningless dot in a vast and beautiful picture. You suffer because you have alienated yourself from reality. Now you seek an escape from this alienation. You cannot escape from your own obsessions. You can only cease nursing them. It is because the I am is false that it wants to continue. Reality need not continue. Knowing itself indestructible, it is indifferent to the destruction of forms and expressions. To strengthen and stabilize the I am, we do all sorts of things. All in vain, for the I am is being rebuilt from moment to moment. It is unceasing work and the only radical solution. is to dissolve the separative sense of I am such and such a person, once and for good. Being remains, but not self-being. I have definite spiritual ambitions. Must I not work for their fulfillment? No ambition is spiritual. All ambitions are for the sake of the I am. If you want to make real progress, you must give up all idea of personal attainment. The ambitions of the so-called yogis are preposterous. A man's desire for a woman is innocence itself compared to the lusting for an everlasting personal bliss. The mind is a cheat. The more pious it seems, the worse the betrayal. People come to you very often with their worldly troubles and ask for help. How do you know what to tell them? I just tell them what comes to my mind at the moment. I have no standardized procedure in dealing with people. You are sure of yourself, but when people come to me for advice, how am I to be sure that my advice is right? Watch in what state you are, from what level you talk. If you talk from the mind, you may be wrong. If you talk from full insight into the situation, with your own mental habits and abeyance, your advice may be a true response. The main point is to be fully aware that neither you nor the man in front of you are mere bodies. If your awareness is clear and full, a mistake is less probable. Whatever pleases you keeps you back. I am a retired chartered accountant, and my wife is engaged in social work for poor women. Our son is leaving for the United States, and we came to see him off. We're Punjabis, but we live in Delhi. We have a guru of the Radhaswami faith, and we value satsang very highly. We feel very fortunate to be brought here. We have met many holy people, and we are glad to meet one more. You have met many anchorites and ascetics, but a fully realized man conscious of his divinity, Swarupa, is hard to find. The saints and yogis, by immense efforts and sacrifices, acquire many miraculous powers and can do much good in the way of helping people and inspiring faith. Yet it does not make them perfect. It is not a way to reality, but merely an enrichment of the faults. All effort leads to more effort. Whatever we built up must be maintained. Whatever was acquired must be protected against decay or loss. Whatever can be lost is not really one's own. And what is not your own, of what use can it be to you? In my world, nothing is pushed about. All happens by itself. All existence is in space and time, limited and temporary. He who experiences existence is also limited and temporary. I am not concerned with either what exists or with who exists. I take my stand beyond, where I am both and neither. The persons who, after much effort and penance, have fulfilled their ambitions and secured higher levels of experience and action, are usually acutely conscious of their standing. They grade people into hierarchies, ranging from the lowest non-achiever to the highest achiever. To me, all are equal. Differences in appearance and expression are there, but they do not matter. Just as the shape of a gold ornament does not affect the gold, so does man's essence remain unaffected. Where this sense of equality is lacking, it means that reality has not been touched. Mere knowledge is not enough. The knower must be known. The pandits and the yogis may know many things, but of what use is mere knowledge when the self is not known? It will certainly be misused. Without the knowledge of the knower, there can be no peace. How does one come to know the knower? I can only tell you what I know from my own experience. When I met my guru, he told me, "You are not what you take yourself to be. Find out what you are. Watch the sense I am. Find your real self." I obeyed him because I trusted him. I did as he told me. All my spare time I would spend looking at myself in silence, and what a difference it made, and how soon. It took me only 3 years to realize my true nature. My guru died soon after I met him, but it made no difference. I remembered what he told me and persevered. The fruit of it is here with me. What is it? I know myself as I am in reality. I am neither the body nor the mind nor the mental faculties. I am beyond all these. Are you just nothing? Come on, be reasonable. Of course I am most tangibly, only I am not what you think me to be. This tells you all. It tells me nothing, because it cannot be told. You must gain your own experience. You are accustomed to deal with things, physical and mental. I am not a thing, nor are you. You are neither matter nor energy, neither body nor mind. Once you have a glimpse of your own being, you will not find me difficult to understand. We believe in so many things on hearsay. We believe in distant lands and people, in heavens and hells, in gods and goddesses, because we were told. Similarly, we were told about ourselves, our parents, name, position, duties, and so on. We never cared to verify. The way to the truth lies through the destruction of the false. To destroy the false, you must question your most inveterate beliefs. Of these, the idea that you are the body is the worst. When the body comes to the world with the world, God, who is supposed to have created the world, and thus it starts. With the body comes the world, with the world God, who is supposed to have created the world, and thus it starts. Fears, religions, prayers, sacrifices, all sorts of systems, to protect and support the child man, frightened out of his wits by monsters of his own making. Realize that what you are cannot be born nor die, and with the fear gone, all suffering ends. What the mind invents, the mind destroys. But the real is not invented and cannot be destroyed. Hold on to that over which the mind has no power. What I am telling you about is neither in the past nor in the future, nor is it in the daily life as it flows in the now. It is timeless, and the total timelessness of it is beyond the mind. My guru, in his words, "You are myself," are timelessly with me. In the beginning, I had to fix my mind on them, but now it has become natural and easy. The point when the mind accepts the words of the guru as true and lives by them spontaneously and in every detail of daily life is the threshold of realization. In a way, it is salvation by faith, but the faith must be intense and lasting. However, you must not think that faith itself is enough. Faith expressed in action is a sure means to realization. Of all the means, it is the most effective. There are teachers who deny faith and trust reason only. Actually, it is not faith they deny, but blind beliefs. Faith is not blind. It is the willingness to try. We were told that of all forms of spiritual practices, the practice of the attitude of a mere witness is the most efficacious. How does it compare with faith? The witness attitude is faith. It is faith in oneself. You believe that you are not what you experience, and you look at everything as from a distance. There is no effort in witnessing. You understand that you are the witness only, and the understanding acts. You need nothing more. Just remember that you are the witness only. If in the state of witnessing you ask yourself, "Who am I?" the answer comes at once, though it is wordless and silent. Cease to be the object and become the subject of all that happens. Once having turned within, you will find yourself beyond the subject. When you have found yourself, you will find that you are also beyond the object, that both the subject and the object exist in you, but you are neither. You speak of the mind, of the witnessing consciousness beyond the mind, and of the Supreme. What is beyond awareness? Do you mean to say that even awareness is not real? As long as you deal in terms, real, unreal, awareness is the only reality that can be. But the Supreme is beyond all distinctions, and to it the term real does not apply, for in it all is real and therefore need not be labeled as such. It is the very source of reality. It imparts reality to whatever it touches. It just cannot be understood through words. Even a direct experience, however sublime, merely bears testimony, nothing more. But who created the world? The universal mind, Chirakash, makes and unmakes everything. The Supreme, Paramakash, imparts reality to whatever comes into being. To say that it is the universal love may be the nearest we can come to it in words. Just like love, it makes everything real, beautiful, desirable. Why desirable? Why not? Wherefrom come all the powerful attractions that make all created things respond to each other, that bring people together, if not from the Supreme. Shun not desire. See only that it flows into the right channels. Without desire, you are dead. But with low desires, you are a ghost. What is the experience which comes nearest to the Supreme? Immense peace and boundless love. Realize that whatever there is true, noble and beautiful in the universe, it all comes from you, that you yourself are at the source of it. The gods and goddesses that supervise the world may be most wonderful and glorious beings, yet they are like the gorgeously dressed servants who proclaim the power and the riches of their master. How does one reach the supreme state? By renouncing all lesser desires. As long as you are pleased with the lesser, you cannot have the highest. Whatever pleases you keeps you back, until you realize the unsatisfactoriness of everything, its transiency and limitation, and collect your energies in one great longing. Even the first step is not made. On the other hand, the integrity of the desire for the Supreme is by itself a call from the Supreme. Nothing, physical or mental, can give you freedom. You are free once you understand that your bondage is of your own making, and you cease forging the chains that bind you. How does one find the faith in a guru? To find the guru and also the trust in him is rare luck. It does not happen often. Is it destiny that ordains? Calling it destiny explains little. When it happens, you cannot say why it happens, and you merely cover up your ignorance by calling it karma or grace or the will of God. Krishnamurti says that guru is not needed. Somebody must tell you about the supreme reality and the way that leads you to it. Krishnamurti is doing nothing else. In a way, he is right. Most of the so-called disciples do not trust their gurus. They disobey them and finally abandon them. For such disciples, it would have been infinitely better if they had no guru at all and just look within for guidance. To find a living guru is a rare opportunity and a great responsibility. One should not treat these matters lightly. You people are out to buy yourself the heaven, and you imagine that the guru will supply it for a price. You seek to strike a bargain by offering little but asking much. You treat nobody except yourselves. You were told by your guru that you are the supreme, and you trusted him and acted on it. What gave you this trust? Say I was just reasonable. It would have been foolish to distrust him. What interest could he possibly have in misleading me? You told the questioner that we are the same, that we are equals. I cannot believe it. Since I do not believe it, of what use is your statement to me? Your disbelief does not matter. My words are true, and they will do their work. This is the beauty of noble company, satsang. Just sitting near you, can it be considered spiritual practice? Of course, the river of life is flowing. Some of its water is here, but so much of it has already reached its goal. You know only the present. I see much further into the past and future, into what you are and what you can be. I cannot but see you as myself. It is in the very nature of love to see no difference. How can I come to myself as you see me? It is enough if you do not imagine yourself to be the body. It is the I am the body idea that is so calamitous. It blinds you completely to your real nature. Even for a moment, Do not think that you are the body. Give yourself no name, no shape. In the darkness and the silence, reality is found. Must not I think with some conviction that I am not the body? Where am I to find such conviction? Behave as if you were fully convinced, and the confidence will come. What is the use of mere words? A formula, a mental pattern will not help you. But unselfish action, free from all concern with the body and its interest, will carry you into the very heart of reality. Where am I to get the courage to act without conviction? Love will give you courage. When you meet somebody wholly admirable, love-worthy, sublime, your love and admiration will give you the urge to act nobly. Not everybody knows to admire the admirable. Most people are totally insensitive. Life will make them appreciate. The very weight of accumulated experience will give them eyes to see. When you meet a worthy man, you will love and trust him and follow his advice. This is the role of the realized people, to set an example of perfection for others to admire and love. Beauty of life and character is a tremendous contribution to the common good. Must we not suffer to grow? It is enough to know that there is suffering, that the world suffers. By themselves neither pleasure nor pain enlighten. Only understanding does. Once you have grasped the truth that the world is full of suffering, that to be born is a calamity, you will find the urge and the energy to go beyond it. Pleasure puts you to sleep, and pain wakes you up. If you do not want to suffer, don't go to sleep. You cannot know yourself through bliss alone, for bliss is your very nature. You must face the opposite, what you are not, to find enlightenment.